I used to ride my bike 15 to 20 miles at a stretch on the trail with the wind and the mountains ahead of me. My mind would go completely quiet. And for someone who had spent decades being everything to everyone, that quiet was everything to me. Then one day, it was gone. Not just the bike, the quiet, the freedom, the version of me that existed on two wheels. I was hit by a car. I was immobile for 3 months. I now walk with a limp, and I will never ride my bike again. That's the backdrop for everything I share on this channel. And today, for those of you who are new, I want to tell you the whole story, because I think you need it to understand why this channel exists. I had been thinking about getting a bike for years. I remember talking to my boss about the rides she would go on. At the time, I wasn't in the shape to ride like that. But the idea stayed with me, the way an idea sometimes does, the back of your mind. When I finally got the bike and I finally got out on the trail, something happened that I wasn't expecting. My mind got quiet. I would ride along the Jordan River, the mountains stretched out in front of me. And sometimes I would stop and just take in the scenery, just to breathe. In those moments, something shifted in me. My life suddenly felt larger. For the first time in a long time, life felt fuller. I was hooked. The bike wasn't just a bike. It was the place I went to remember who I was. Underneath all the rolls, all the noise, all the years of disappearing into everyone else's needs, like a parent does, out there on the trail, I existed just for me. I won't walk you through all of the details of what happened, but what I will tell you is this. One ordinary day, I was doing what I always did. I was on my bike. I was in that quiet place that I had worked so hard to find, and then a car. And everything changed. The months that followed are still blurry in places. What I remember more than anything is the stillness. Because someone who finds their freedom in riding and someone who needs to ride was suddenly not allowed to walk or barely move. I want to be honest about what those 3 months were really like, because I think a lot of us have had our own version of them, maybe not from an accident, maybe from a diagnosis, a loss, a retirement that didn't feel like what we had imagined, a life that stopped looking the way we thought it would look. Forced stillness. When you lose the thing that gave you peace, what I knew was that mornings were hard, that I would look out the window and think about the trail, about the mountains, about the version of me who existed out there, and wonder if she was just gone. And something else. I started to realize how much of my life has been spent in motion. Not just on the bike, everywhere. Always doing, always moving towards the next thing. And I never really stopped to ask, where am I going? What am I actually looking for? The accident forced me to stop asking that and sit with it instead. Something had changed during those 3 months, not just physically, something deeper. When you can't run from yourself, when there's nowhere to go and nothing to do, you start to hear things. Things you've been too busy, too distracted, too in motion to hear before. I started writing, not for anyone, just for me, trying to put words to the feelings I'd been carrying for years. the sense of disappearing, the quiet grief of realizing you spent decades living for everyone else and not quite sure who you are when everyone else goes home. And something else started happening. I started finding other women who were in their own version of stillness, who had lost something, a career, a relationship, a sense of purpose, a body that worked the way it used to. Women who were somewhere between who they were and who they might still become. Women who were starting over at 60 and did not have a roadmap. I didn't have a map either, but I had this: the words, my stories, the hard-earned understanding that loss, even devastating, permanent loss, can crack you open in ways that let something new come through. I would never ride my bike again, but I wasn't alone, and neither are you. I started this channel for you. If you're somewhere in the middle right now, between who you were and who you still might become, I started it for you. If you've lost something you've loved, if retirement didn't feel like freedom, it felt like erasure. If your body changed and your identity changed with it, if you woke up one day and thought, wait, is this it? Is this all there is left? I started it for you because I know what it's like to lose the thing you loved most. I know what it's like to sit in the stillness and not know what comes next. And I know, because I'm living it, that there is something on the other side of that. And I know, because I'm living it, that there is something on the other side of that. It doesn't look the way you thought it would, but it's yours. And all because I had bought a bike. If any of this resonates with you, I'd really love to know. Drop a comment below and tell me what you are navigating right now. What's your version of stillness? What did you lose that you're still grieving? This channel is for all of us, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining me.